In today's video, we're going to be looking at the Bitcoin Core by Mr. Jimmy Peter Erickson. So Jimmy has released several bots by now, and every time one comes out, one of my clients usually lets me know about it because many of the guys who use our EAs also tend to use his and use WIMs. So I'm always excited when he puts out something new because we can usually learn something from it. For instance, some of his currency bots on orbs I found really interesting because it's a bit of a different approach to a classic opening range breakout than stuff that I've previously experimented with. So it's always good to review and look at bots put out by good developers because everybody brings something a bit unique to the industry, and you can usually learn something from checking out other people's work. So what he's doing here with Bitcoin is really fascinating because it's a breakout system, but it appears to be a bit less spread sensitive or a bit less aggressive. And what I've found from developing my own Bitcoin bots is that it presents one of the absolute greatest edges in CFD trading. However, you have to be extremely mindful of trading conditions. So to give you an idea, I have a Bitcoin scalper, which is a true scalper in the sense of it. Usually it holds positions for less than a minute. It's just in and out quickly. And this works amazingly if you have very low spreads. So in the case of Vantage, which is one of our broker partners, your average spread is around $17, which is one of the lowest you're going to find in the Bitcoin amongst Bitcoin CFD providers. IC Markets is also pretty competitive, as is Pepperstone, I think. And these brokers work great with scalpers, and you actually can do really well because you're able to capitalize on the volatility of Bitcoin along with low spreads, along with leverage to make money in a very consistent manner through the style of more like rapid breakout systems. However, if you try and take those same styles and apply them to the vast majority of brokers that have way higher spreads, they don't work nearly as well. So for somebody like myself who's running an IB business, I'm very happy to have folks just use it on Vantage because I don't need it to work on every single broker. However, if you're in the more pure bot selling space and you're not really as focused on the brokerage, the managed account space, it makes sense to develop a bot which is a bit less spread sensitive just because you need clients to be able to use it with just about any broker. So I'm really curious to see how he's gotten around this limitation here with developing bots, which can be able to profit on Bitcoin even with a bit of a higher spread. Because some brokers will give you an 8,000 point spread or a 10,000 point spread. It's not uncommon, even amongst tier one brokers, especially if you go to regulated brokers. They also are or heavily regulated brokers. They tend to have 8,000 point spreads and very low leverage requirements, low leverage provided on Bitcoin. And this makes it really, really hard to run a true scalper. So this style of system which he's developing is a breakout, but my understanding is it's probably holding for a bit of a longer period, which will make it way less sensitive. It's also prop firm compatible, and what I have found is I don't develop Bitcoin bots for prop firms because prop firm Bitcoin conditions are pretty atrocious. So you really need to have a longer hold time just to be profitable. So what he's saying here is that it uses dynamic stop loss, trailing stop. It's a breakout, and it's looking for strong breakout continuation levels, medium aggressive trend following. So that means that he's probably holding for a long period of time. It's not a quick scalp. He's trying to capture the bigger move. And that makes total sense on Bitcoin. Breakouts on Bitcoin work really, really well because when it breaks above a range, it tends to keep going. So this is a great style of system here. Daily drawdown protection makes sense. He says it works with just about any account, any time frame. Also makes sense too. It's probably hard coded on something. There's 3 different exit models and a few different risk settings. So overall, looks good. From the actual equity curve we can see here so far, it does appear to be this style of higher risk reward system. Because as you can see, we have a lot of when you have this inverted staircase shape, that usually means a high risk reward, low win rate. Because we have all these little losers, and then boom, win. Losers, boom, win. So probably a very high risk reward system where he's cutting his losers fast and catching big winners. All these backtests, he may have ran them on IC. I think he did. I wouldn't test a Bitcoin bot in IC markets because it looks a little bit too good to be true. But he's also tested it on Dukascopy, and I think he's done his best here to be as robust as possible. It's just Bitcoin is hard to backtest. Honestly, that's what I found personally. As he's using a longer hold time, you're not going to be as condition sensitive. But when I made a Bitcoin bot, I actually didn't release it to our clients for about 6 weeks, just forward testing, just to see hey, does this thing actually work live like it does in the backtest? Because if you're trading gold or US 30 where you actually have very, very good conditions, you don't really have to worry that much. Like, yes, you want to double check, you want to forward test, but if you have a good broker, generally speaking, your backtest and your forward testing should match pretty accurately. With Bitcoin though, and like Jimmy mentioned this too, like we were both being really, really careful to see like, okay, it looks great in backtest, but how does it look live? But he's mindful of that, and I believe he did the necessary robustness to pay attention to that. So all that to say, I don't think that in any way he's trying to manipulate anything here, but it's just this style of beautiful smoothness, I think, is partially being helped by the data quality that some brokers will give you. And when you run it live on Bitcoin, it's usually not quite as beautiful as it is when you backtest it. Just to be mindful of that. Doesn't mean it's not going to be profitable. It's just it almost always looks too good to be true when you backtest it. Not Jimmy's fault. It's more on the broker side of things. Effectively, what we're seeing here is that you can run it as part of a broader portfolio, which is also very helpful. So cool. Overall, looking really good so far. I'm looking at a signal here and it's matching a screenshot. Yeah, it looks very high risk reward style to me. 38% win rate with a very high risk reward. So that's the style of system he's running, which is quite different than mine. Mine's almost a 1-to-1. So this makes pretty interesting. And let's look at the actual hold times here. Yeah, like he's holding for a long period of time. Like these are like 1 hour hold times. So not a scalper. It's matching exactly what he says it's doing. It's more of a breakout style system, but trend following. He's holding for a fair amount of time. So this makes complete sense for somebody who is selling bots, because realistically, if you're like Wim does something similar, you can't make a Bitcoin scalper and sell it commercially as a bot, because 90% of your clients are going to be upset because they're like, hey, it doesn't work on my broker. Whereas if you're offering it through a specific broker where you can kind of say like, look guys, we're not going to charge you for it, use our broker because it works with this broker. It won't work with most brokers, but it works with ours. That's a different model, right? And that's the only reason why we're able to do a true Bitcoin scalper is because we're not selling it, we're attaching it to a certain broker where it works. Whereas in this case, this makes complete sense. If I were just trying to sell the bot, I also would need to use a similar profit target mechanism like this, because it's just going to be a lot easier to run across a variety of conditions. Okay, so I took the liberty of running a quick back test here in MT5, and as we can see, the actual equity curve is very much matching what we're seeing in his live signal too. And this is a classic characteristic system of more of a high risk reward, low win rate style system. So we have these long strings of losers and then these massive jumps of winners. And that usually would be characterized by this, as we can see, a 43% win rate, but a very positive risk reward, a little bit over a 2-to-1. So that makes complete sense. And here I ran the back test on a 100K account and it made 63K. So that would be around a 63% return over a little bit over 1 year. And as we can see, it is indeed running exactly what he says it's doing. Like when it's losing, it has these quick little losses, but when it actually wins, it sometimes catches these massive trends. We're also seeing that he is stacking a few different types of orders at a given level, and it does appear to be trading like a breakout system. There's actually a fair amount of similarity here between some of like Wim's bots. When we have a break, like some of them are taking profits very quickly, some of them are holding and really catching these big wins. So actually we're seeing a fair amount of similarities to what both Jimmy and Wim have both developed in the past. So a very sophisticated style of support and resistance breakout. So overall, it's doing what he says it's doing. It makes complete sense, and it looks really, really good. Here we can see, yeah, many orders are being stacked at a similar level. Just be mindful of when you're using risk management, like don't risk too much if you have multiple orders at the same level, right? Because if they all stop out simultaneously, you want to make sure that the risk per order is pretty modest so that you can have 10 losers or 5 losers or whatever, just to make sure that you're not over leveraging. But you're just spreading your risk across a variety of orders as opposed to putting it in one. As long as you're modest about how much risk you're using, you should be good to go. Overall, it's doing, yeah, it's classic breakout. The inputs are not too complex, so that's really good. It looks to be a very well thought out style of breakout system too, where he's put a fair amount of effort into developing this. It isn't just a very basic one, so also a good sign to see. I'm just going to quickly fast forward this so we can see some trades. And yeah, whoa, there's a lot of orders being stacked there. So yeah, there's a lot of orders. Okay, it's a classic, or not classic, it's a well thought out multi-order style breakout system. So Wim loves doing these. Jimmy's kind of putting his own spin on it. So really interesting to see. I think it's very well made. It seems well thought out, and I have no doubt that people will be very pleased with this. So cool, yeah, looking really good. It appears to be that he's put a kind of his own take on the Bitcoin style of trading. And I'm curious to see how it continues to perform live. Just be mindful of, once again, Bitcoin can have really high spreads. So if you're going to use this thing, try and use a really good broker. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave me a comment if you have any comments or thoughts, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.